Welcome to this episode of the Duke Football Talk Section 17 podcast. I'm your host, Brian Kennedy, alongside my co-hosts, Josh Cox, Scott Medlin, and Jamie Holton. For the first time since the post-Gator Bowl reaction episode, we're all back. We're here to talk spring game, and we've got a special guest coming up soon who sat down to talk with Josh in a one-on-one interview. But, guys, it's been a few months. Finally back into the football groove. We had the spring game this past Saturday as of this recording, but we'll get to that. We've got the mailbag coming up. How have you guys been? Just a quick update on life. We won't spend too much time. Everyone, or most people, have stayed in touch with us via Facebook, Twitter, text messages, but it's good to have the crew back. Who wants to go first?
Yeah, I'll go first, man. It's been a lot of fun. Obviously, been following all Duke athletics since the last time we were on here. We'll put it that way. And but yeah, doing work with the collective, working with a ton of sports now, a ton of student athletes, which is cool. And then yeah, life has been good, but it's good to be back with you guys. Good to talk a little football, which we know is the nearest and dearest of all the Duke athletics programs, right? So anyway, looking forward to talking with you guys, talking a little bit about spring game and what this roster is going to look like, right, heading into the fall.
Yeah. The last couple of months have been interesting. Spent a little time in the hospital for the first time since birth. I had a little health issue there for about a week, but back, getting stronger each day. Old age is starting to kick my behind, and, well, yeah, I'm an old man. But, yeah, it's good to be back. That's really looking forward to that's great. If you guys can see the comments, that is really awesome. Anyway, so looking forward to getting ready to – that's true, we do need a Memorial Hospital also. Since we already have a wing, now we need the hospital. But anyway, hey, that's what I'm here for. I'm here to be the butt of every joke for some reason, and it's okay. It doesn't hurt my feelings. I'm just glad to be alive and kicking, and I'm glad to be back talking football. So,
man, I've just been grinding at work, of course, at work. Oh boy, it worked 2 days this week. I'm going to the beach tomorrow.
I miss you guys, man.
We are back in mid-season form, and it's only April.
Looking forward to football season, man. We're only 4 months out, so only 4 months out, and we'll be right back in. Wally Wade, can't wait.
And for those keeping track, we said this before we hit the record button. Jamie has been working 24/7. That's 24 minutes a day, 7 days a month. So he's actually upped his game a little bit. So he's got to make sure that the beach house is paid for so he can go down there and enjoy his fishing expeditions with the boy, Ethan.
It's 24/7, 365, Brian. 365 days a decade. He's been working hard, man.
Over under how many hours of vacation Jamie has left?
Oh, I'm gonna say, let's see, we're in May, or we're in April.
April, yeah.
We're in April. I'm gonna say Jamie still has 5 weeks of vacation left.
Okay, Scott, what do you think?
well, 5 weeks would be 40. I was going to say, so I'll say 44 days.
40
That's days, Scott.
days, okay. Let's see. He's been going a lot. He's actually going after we finish this recording tomorrow. But he also takes every incentive possible from the city. Like, wear pink on Monday and you get 8 hours. Done. I'll wear everything pink. Jamie, I'm going to say you got 50 days left. Where are we? Give us a brief. We're not asking for like the full, but give us who's closest.
Not even close. Not even close. I'm way down.
Oh, okay.
I'm way down. Not
So you're going to start calling out sick?
yeah. I do have a lot of sick time. Like,
Have y'all seen the new way to call in to say that you're sick and sound like you're in a hospital? People will be next to their microwave and they press a button to make it sound like it's the heart monitor going up and down. So if you haven't thought of that, folks, it might be a good idea.
Amazing what you learn here on the Section 17 podcast.
You know, we've got
I'm not gonna lie to you. That's a little too close to home there, right there, guys. That's a little too close to home.
Sorry, Scott. It's still too fresh. Too fresh. Not much going on. Just work, and the boys have actually been playing some flag football. They were both inspired by Graham Barton. Shout out Graham and his family. Harrison has really taken it up. Hudson's just kind of like, it's football, but whatever. Hudson's on the Patriots, so y'all pray for us because I had to buy Patriots gloves for him. Harrison is on the Vikings, so I can deal with that. But it's definitely exactly, and it's funny. We actually have a Viking helmet with the horns, and so I wore it one day. I'm that dad. Sorry. But yeah, I mean, it's just been good to be able to go Saturdays and not have to have everything going on. We can focus on the boys right now because this is the pivotal age to where I think we're going to start determining what sports we should focus on and what sports we should probably put to the side because they're not good at it. I mean, we're going to have that talk with Hudson soon. But anyway, it is what it is. But yeah, it was good to be back in Wallace Wade this past Saturday. 3 of the 4 of us were there. Of course, Jamie had his obligations at the beach, which we're not surprised by. We'll get into the spring game here shortly. But as I stated when we first came on, we've got an interview for you folks. It's a special one, and it's with the offensive coordinator of the Duke Blue Devils, one Jonathan Brewer. And Josh was able to sit down with him and talk all things pertaining to the spring game. Here's our interview.
And we're here with Duke offensive coordinator and quarterbacks coach Jonathan Brewer. Coach Brewer, thanks for hopping on with us today, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So we are post spring game, and a lot's going on, with the 3 to 4 weeks of practice before that. And first of all, how does it feel to have that, kind of spring practice under your belt and get out there on that Saturday in front of some fans? How does it feel to kind of be done with that portion of the calendar?
It's a 4 to 5 week grind. That's for sure. After you get about through the first 3 weeks, you get 2 to 3 weeks. You're like, okay, kind of got our base foundation exposed to the quarterback. Now it's like, what are some things that he wants to see? Maybe just, put your toe in, that kind of stuff. And you're like, okay, let's throw this out there for a day and rep this and see what it looks like. Okay, let's go with this one. Let's go this. You're kind of experimenting the second half of spring ball. Especially with our guys, a lot of our offensive guys aren't going to be here till June anyway. So you're like, okay, what is the goal of spring ball is to get our quarterback comfortable with what we do on offense, but then also to let us be able to experiment enough on some other things that maybe, hey, this actually might be something we want to go with, play wise, conceptually, that kind of stuff.
Yeah. So, absolutely want to talk a little bit in a minute about kind of the quarterback situation. But one of the major differences between, if you rewind 12 months last year at this time and this year at this time, is you actually did have an offensive line that could get some work in and some reps in, as last year that just wasn't the case. What are some of the things that you saw from the line? Obviously a major component of the offense as the line goes, kind of the rest of the offense goes. I know there were a couple of guys that were out just for some precautionary things, but what did you see from the line? Anybody stand out on the O-line for you during the spring?
Yeah, I think the continual development of Bruno at the left side, and he had about really 6 really good days of practice when he came back from his injury, and man, he's made some strides at the left side and really just shored up a lot of things in pass protection. Looked really well. Justin Pickett, this is really one of his first springs to have a chance to go through. And he showed some like explosiveness. Like he looks like a veteran, you know what I mean? Which is what you expect anyway, all the games that he's played and all that. But, just for him to have a chance to go through off season and now show it out in the scrimmage, just you can see his development, coming, this is it for him and for him to go. And, and then you start looking at guys like Bradley Smith, redshirt freshman for us. Has only been here for really, a year now, coming up on a year starting in June. Man, he has made some huge strides. He's got quick feet, strike. He is somebody that's given us a look at it as far as the 7 guys you got to go into a season with. He's kind of made himself into that realm. It's been really good to see him. He can play guard or center for us. Losing Micah was a big blow to us. And so we got to do some things to shore up that position. There. And then, guys like Caleb Doris, Guy's been in the program for a while. That's fine. He had a really good first 2 weeks of camp at the tackle position, which kind of gives us a chance to. He could be our third tackle potentially. You know, it's his development, his length. It's really what you want to see. A guy that's been here for 2+ years. This is him coming into his own. So he's been doing really well. Jamal Allen, Big G, has shown some progress, especially for one of the younger guys up front. So you start mixing in those guys. It's been good. It's been good for our guys.
Yeah, and once again, just a great thing. Obviously, you kind of take it for granted probably in the past, but just having a core there. And then last season, it was kind of like, man, we're going to piece this all together. These guys are going to meet each other in May, June, and we're going to see what we can throw out there. And
really, our guys are all the guys that are new are all the freshmen, and so it's just there's a lot of camaraderie there. The guys that played together, with BP. The one thing we did different in spring ball that we did last year is that we had some in the middle of practice, more of jog through, not physical stuff. So BP and Craycraft could get some of that stuff so they could work, not necessarily on their technique, right? Because they're really, a quarter speed, that kind of stuff, but really talk, communication, like still be able to get that gelling going on in the spring ball, which you'd like. Yeah. But with just, still, injuries right now, for those guys and them coming back from surgeries and all that kind of stuff. So.
Yeah, for sure. Well, moving on to some skill positions, and we'll skip running backs for right now. I know Nate Shepard's been highlighted some from the social media team. Understand that's basically a four-headed monster back there with that whole crew. But moving over to wide receiver, obviously still waiting on a couple of guys that have already announced their decision to transfer in, but won't be showing up. And that's Cooper. Is it Barkate? Is that the way we pronounce it?
There you go.
I'm like, man, I didn't know if there was like some
sort of. I just called him.
Okay. Yeah, Cooper, the real Cooper. But then Andrew Anthony, of course, coming in, from Oklahoma as well. But the guys that were here got some veteran guys, and then a guy like Queso in his second season. What did you see from the wide receiver room in the spring that encouraged you?
Yeah, I think the two returning veterans of Queso and Samir. Samir got a lot of reps as the outside receiver, something he hadn't played, but his upper body physicality allows him to play, even though he's a shorter than 6 foot guy, because he can get through releases, especially versus press corners. And I mean, he had a high production spring, especially on the outside. So it gives him versatility. A guy like we had James Prochet was a back-to-back 1,000-yard receiver for us at SMU, and we could just move him around to all these different. He showed he could play out wide, which means we can move him around. And then obviously Queso is one of the most dynamic players in the ACC. You see it every day. Even though he's a shorter guy, he's so fast, he's hard to get hands on in the slot. I mean, he's a dynamic player for us, and it's showcased for us. Obviously, you guys saw it in the spring game. And then Chase Tyler, Chase had probably about 8 really good days, and then kind of had a soft tissue deal and coming back through that and played in the spring game. But he has got some huge promise. Big guy that he can go up and make contested catches. He can get off press. He's really the X factor of the group, and him coming along.
For sure. And then obviously the timing and everything with getting Darian and the other quarterbacks. With these transfers as they come in, I'm assuming that'll be priority number one.
Yeah,
when they show up and just get reps, right?
That's the number one priority. You get these two guys in, and they've got to get on the same wavelength as him and as the other receivers. And our system's not hard to pick up anyways, but just the camaraderie of being around each other, they've got to listen to Darian and the other quarterbacks of how they run the routes, what we're looking for, stuff that they just have to build reps with them, and so that's kind of the trick. Last year we had all the receivers here, and so our quarterbacks had a chance to build that all spring, especially through the football all spring. They got a chance to do that, and it showed up. We threw more back shoulders than we did the whole last year than I think I threw in 2 years at SMU, and that was because of that reason that they were here all spring. This is a little bit different. These guys are coming in, so we've got to get that time back in the summer and then into fall camp.
For sure. Well, the elephant in the room here is the quarterback room, right? The leader of the offense. Obviously, the program made a big splash in the offseason in securing Darian Mensah from Tulane. What was it? Obviously, this is a new era of college football. We don't have time to kind of talk about just the reality of what this looks like. But what was it when you and I don't know if it was John Garrett or whoever else that's involved in, kind of the talent and looking around. What was it about Darian that made you feel confident that he was the guy to bring in to kind of do the things that you want to do from an offensive, viewpoint?
Yeah. So Darian, if you watch his games against the best competition they played against, Oklahoma and Kansas State, two Power 5 teams or Power 4 teams, and his ability to maneuver the pocket and create and deliver and have his eyes down the field and put the ball with great accuracy down the field. That's something that we just didn't have last year, and we've had in our offense before. If you look at guys like Preston Stone, Kevin Jennings, Tanner Mordecai, De'Aaron King, these guys all have the ability to create enough to get the ball down the field. And so it allows you a lot of freedom as a play caller to call things that maybe it doesn't have to be perfect, that they can make things right for you as a quarterback. And so you see that with him. There may be one guy coming free late, and he's able to stay in there or shuffle around and deliver a ball off platform. And, he graded out one of our highest analytics quarterbacks that we had of anybody in the country. He was one of the top. He's in the 90 percentile. So, those are key indicators we look for. Then when you get to meet him is a whole different deal. He is very serious. He's a winner. He's a true quarterback. He takes charge. He has the camaraderie. He has the build around his team of pulling guys in the right direction. He wants to be challenged. He wants to be coached. He's demanding. He's up here with us a lot, watching. So it's been really, really good with him.
So obviously, and this will be the last question here for you. Obviously, last season, I believe your first season as the sole offensive coordinator. Is that am I saying that correct? Or play caller? Maybe that's the first time as full-time play caller. And then playing to the roster that was there last season. Obviously, this season is a different roster, different quarterback room, different wide receiver room. What are some things that you look to do that would be maybe different, right? Some changes you'd like to see, improvements that you'd like to see, kind of what Duke fans could expect to see from the offense that maybe just weren't able to happen last year.
Yeah, I think you're probably going to see us in more open sets, more spread the ball out and around. We were in a lot of max pro situations last year, so we only had 3 guys in the route. It's what our best way to be successful was last year, to maximize who we were. We did. Quarterback broke the school touchdown. I mean, there's a lot of good things and positive things. This year, you're going to see a little bit more open. Things are going to be more spread out, more open, playing faster in open sets. A lot of those things that have been traditionally what we have done in the offense. So you're going to see a lot more of that kind of stuff.
That's awesome, man. Well, I think I speak for all those that follow Duke football that it was great to kind of get out there last past Saturday, see some, semi-live, semi or all live, but semi-fast-paced football. And then looking forward, obviously, to kicking the season off, with Elon at the end of August. But, man, Coach Brewer, really appreciate you coming on the Section 17 podcast, man. And we really look forward to seeing what you guys are going to put out there on the field this year.
Just so you know, I gave you a shout out. I was actually on a different podcast in Arkansas. They asked me the same food question that you guys asked.
Hey, just so everyone knows, I ran into Coach Brewer during January, February, somewhere at church. And the first thing he comes up to me and said, "Hey, man, I just went and had some barbecue." What's the name of the place?
I had some fried chicken at
fried chicken. That's right.
Yeah, Monday chicken. Yeah,
that's right. That was the first thing he said. So, food guy, definitely keeping that top priority. But once again, Coach, man, we really do appreciate you coming on, man.
Right, appreciate you guys anytime.
And again, our thanks to assistant coach Jonathan Brewer for sitting down with Josh to talk a little Duke football as we head into the downtime, the off time, the dead period. We're kind of in the dead period right now after spring ball. So it was good to catch up with the OC. So again, thank you, Coach Brewer, for coming on and joining us. But we got to get back to basics, fellas. Let's jump right into it. As always, we ask you for questions, and you, the fans, you never let us down. We've got a little off-season mailbag. So, Jamie, why don't you go ahead and get us rolling with the first question?
All right. Brian, I feel like this first one's directed
oh boy
to you. So it was Peter Dodge at PD Duke 85 wants to know, do we have any connections in the equipment room? And if so, how can we get more than 20 how can we get more than 20 fans to score a used helmet for the upcoming tailgate season?
Oh my gosh. Okay. So long story short, there was an initial email that went out saying that, hey, we're going to have helmets at the spring game. I think it was one per color per person. So if you wanted to, you could buy 3 helmets because I think they had black, gray, and blue for the cost of what it was. I think it was $100. Then I was told, hey, we're making some changes. Just hang tight. We're just going to have to. We've got to make some adjustments. So then it came out. It was 1 helmet per person. Okay, no big deal. Sounds good. When I got there, and I took that photo and I posted it on our Twitter page, there was a line going up towards Cameron for folks waiting to get in. And the majority of those folks were wanting a helmet. I had to enter the other way because I was media. And one of our listeners, JD, shout out JD, he actually got one of the 20 helmets. He was the one that told me, hey, they've only got 20. I was like, I thought they were supposed to have 80. He goes, only 20. Sure enough, I went up. I talked with one of the guys, and they were just like, we had to make some changes. It is what it is. Okay, completely understand. I just watched because, guys, I kid you not, there was at least legit 100 to 150 people in line waiting for a helmet. And then when they said, we're out, no more helmets, it was not a pleasant sight. A lot of upset fans. Now, all that to say, and don't quote me on this, but I think there are going to be more opportunities as we progress in the season for potential helmets to be available. Now, don't quote me on that. It could happen, but I'm hearing that could be a possibility. So there could be more. But yeah, it was unfortunate to see. I myself was going to try to get one of the either the state win helmet, the black with the white Gothic, or I was going to get I think the Clemson win was an option, but they had to pull that one. So, we only have so much pull here at Section 17, but just know that there could be alternatives coming down the road.
And let me say this, ridiculously cheap, man.
Yes.
$100 for a helmet. Like, I think, if they could have done it, if they had it to do over again, they'd have probably charged 200, 150, 200. Like, I mean, I think they go to 250 at other places. And, obviously in hindsight with the demand as high as it was, like, I think 200 would have been, but hey, you live and learn.
Yeah, the surplus sale, which I don't know if there'll be another one in any time soon, it was usually around 200. And even I look on eBay from time to time because when I do my helmets, people go, $60 for a full size? No. It's usually $250 for a game used helmet just because of the cost associated with the helmet. So again, sorry to those who did not get a helmet, but there could be opportunities in the future.
Yeah, $100 is crazy cheap. I'd love to get a full size helmet to put on my desk there at work to go along with all my mini helmets I got.
I would consider making some, but the startup cost would be stupid, ridiculous. Yeah.
All right, at Blade for Duke wants to know, lots of guys were held out due to minor injuries or off-season rehab. Do we have any updates of anybody that might be more serious? I didn't know if we had anything at all.
Yeah, it's a great question. I mean, obviously, if you were at the game Saturday, you saw like Craycraft and Parker. They were just minor things that kind of kept them out. If you listen to our last podcast, they kind of hinted at that on the podcast. They didn't come out and say it, but they were in street clothes. You saw Micah Sahakian in a pretty extensive knee situation. So it's not our news to break there, but it looked like a fairly severe knee issue that he was walking around with. But as far as injuries that are going to last into the season, I mean, once again, the Micah Sahakian thing, we don't know for sure on that, but that did not look good. And I would also add Terry Moore, who hurt his knee in the bowl game. So you got to expect the first part of the season, at least, you're not going to see him. Jeremiah Hazley, that was early in the season. That was a Northwestern game where he hurt his knee. And, we'll see, what happens there. But those are the ones that come to mind, off the top of our head. The oft injured Marquise Collins entered the transfer portal. So that doesn't factor in to this team. I can't think of anybody else. I don't know
Jaden
if
Moore.
you guys can. Jaden Moore. Now, Jaden's been practicing from what I've heard, but he was not participating in the spring game. But, Jaden tore his ACL last year at the spring game, so a year ago. So yeah, we'll see. I can't think of anybody else though. That was a good call on Jaden. No one jumps off the table at me from that, but those are the ones we need to keep our eyes on.
All right, our guy Sam at Bleed in Duke Blue. He says this can be a collective answer or individual, but who was the player that caught your eyes the most, whether it be an unexpected player or an obvious one?
Yeah, let's do individual here, guys. Take it away. Somebody else.
I'll go. One guy that I noticed on the social media feeds that they were highlighting somewhat the Duke media team, and I was really interested to see how he did, was Nate Shepard, running back, because we've got another three-headed monster in the backfield, and it just seems like that is Duke's one of their power areas is running back, because you've got
don't sleep on Anderson Castle either.
No. But I'm just saying that is one room to where, if God forbid someone goes down, next man up. It has been like that. Honestly, it's been like that since the Cutcliffe years. Running back is one area that this Duke team has had no problems with. But seeing Nate there, and then God, I'm drawing a blank, y'all. I'm still
Jaquez, Peyton.
Yeah, yes, thank you.
Yep.
Gosh, I was just talking to someone about Peyton today. I'm still in the off season. The mind is, but yeah, I'm really interested to see how this coaching staff uses Shepard in the season, because he's shown that he belongs already as a freshman. Typically, when some running backs come in, they get redshirted just so they can hold on to another year of eligibility. But I think with his explosiveness, he could see some time this year for sure.
And I would, to go with what Brian just said, the running backs really did not get a lot of show because they were touched and they were down. So Shepard did catch some passes out of the backfield. And I'm telling you, if they use that play for all of our running backs, hallelujah, amen. Because those guys were getting out on the outside. And I mean, it was touch football, but still they were getting 8 and 10 a chunk. So that's a nice little thing to have. Try not to be obvious, but to me, I thought Dan Mahan had a great game as a true freshman. He's only been here a couple weeks. He made some mistakes to start out with, which, I mean, is going to happen. But as the game progressed, obviously they didn't play Darian but a certain amount of time. I thought Dan played well. I thought he made some good decisions. And when he was able to get out of the pocket and run, he's got some wheels on him. And I think, obviously they're going to do the best they can, I would think, to redshirt him this season, get him bigger and stronger. But in the case we would have to use him, I think he's going to be a really good guy to use his big boy.
A quarterback running. I'm not understanding that. Can you elaborate, please? Because
there's certain places in the country that have quarterbacks that can run. Unfortunately, the state champions of North Carolina did not have a quarterback that could run except for 1 or 2 times during the season last year. And unfortunately, he's gone to the Big Sky Conference or whatever was out west now. Whatever school that area is out there, it's not the Pac-12 anymore. It's it doesn't really matter. It's the doesn't really matter. So
the Pac-2,
the Mountain West. That's what it's called. I was trying to get it in my head. That's why I was rambling.
He's dead to me. He's dead to me.
Yep,
I'm just joking. I wish him the best.
So to echo what Scott just said, I think the quarterback room in general, that's not my answer, but Darian, Henry, and Dan, like they all three showed flashes of really good play. And as was mentioned, the two-hand touch thing kind of makes it, difficult to run, all that kind of stuff. There was also a timer on a sack. So if you didn't get the ball out in a certain amount of time, it was a sack. So anyway, but my guy that stood out to me was Kayshawn Brown. He looked like he got nothing but faster and twitchier in the off season. Obviously, and we'll talk about it here in a second. So I'm not gonna talk about these guys, but there'll be some guys coming in to help in the wide receiver room. But I believe that Queso really showed, that last season was not just like, oh, he could be good, but like I think he's really going to be good. And then you add that him and Samir kind of are prototypical kind of similar guys, and I think that really shone out to me from Saturday's game.
Honorable mention Bryce Davis.
That's what I was going to say.
I was
you weren't there, Jamie. You shut up.
I was just going to say, obviously I wasn't at the spring game, but I was going to say a player I'm excited to see live is Bryce Davis.
Jamie, you would have been talking Heisman hype for this kid.
Yeah.
I mean, I've got a new nickname for him, Quadzilla. That dude's legs are just freakishly huge. And there was one play he blew up the O-line, and they had to blow.
It was Bruno.
Yeah, that's right, Bruno.
Him and Bruno collided, and it was hands to the face on Bryce, but it ended with both of them on the ground, almost in a tussle. So that was pretty legit.
The refs had to quickly blow the whistle because he was right at the quarterback too. So Bryce is going to be fun to watch this year.
Yeah, so that's just a guy that I'm excited to see, and obviously Mensa, I'm excited to see him, and Nate Shepard. I mean, Brian, to echo what he said, I mean, Duke has highlighted him throughout the spring practice with social videos and stuff that we've seen, that he obviously, that kid can play.
Who did I equate him to, guys? I said an LT or a Brian Westbrook.
Brian Westbrook is a great comp.
Yeah.
All right. At Bentley Weeks, did you notice any standout differences between last year's team and this year's team? If not, are there any similarities?
Oh, I got one big difference from last year to this year. We have an offensive line. It was wild. We had a fully functioning offensive line, and that included, we mentioned the 3 guys at least that were injured and not participating on Saturday, and they still went at it. And so that was interesting. I know that, bolstering that line is a major focus in the offseason. And so that is something I think we had the potential. Not that the guys were terrible last year, but I think that we have the potential this year of drastically improving on the line.
I'll take it one step further. We actually had an actual spring game this year. And shout out to you, the fans that showed up. It was Easter weekend. Did not expect, I'll be honest, I didn't expect the turnout that we had. So thanks to each and every one of you who actually showed up. I mean, the hard hat guys, of course, you knew they would be there, but let's be honest, there were some fans that could have missed for other obligations, and they still made it a point to come out.
Yeah, the scoring system, they had to show it constantly because, I mean, it was algebra confusing. But, I mean, at the end of the day, it was good to see everybody got a chance. Todd looked good kicking. The backup kicker had a couple of chances. He did well. And then our Aussie punter, he looked good as usual. So, and he was down there hanging out with his buddy from Australia also. And I think they were talking about Vegemite sandwiches while we were down there.
They were talking some Australian rules football down there. But let me just say this, and I tweeted this from our account. Like, shout out to Duke football though. Like, and we mentioned, I know that the helmet thing was like maybe a negative. Outside of that, like, kudos. Like, I know that there wasn't a lot necessarily that went into this, but like the fact that there was a decent amount of fans there and they watched some real football, right? Minus the hitting at the end of plays. But like, I love that. And I actually really appreciate that because you really want to guard yourself right in this day and age. I understand why certain teams didn't want to do a spring game. But the fact that Duke did one, they did respectfully ask people not to post video and stuff, which is understandable for this. But shout out. Like, I thought it was really cool. And if they were to do this every year, I really think that people would show up to it.
And they had merchandise for sale. They had a bouncy house for the kids. They like a field goal inflatable, which my whole family partook of, so that was fun. I actually made it, by the way. Did the whole setup and everything. Yep. They had the football game where you threw the football and different difficulties of holes. So I mean, they actually did it very well. They had everyone in mind to keep people there. So yeah, that was good. Other than the helmet situation, it seemed like everything went smooth, and they had. Thanks, Josh. They had a lot of fun.
Oh boy. At Big Papa RV. Lots of hype coming out of the spring game about Mensa, OL, and the depth on defense. Is the optimism warranted? And why are we going to win the national championship? I added that. He didn't say that.
I was going to say, is Big Papa RV your burner account, Jamie?
I added that. Yeah, that was on me.
Well,
I think the optimism is warranted. I mean, there's, obviously, once again, I wasn't at the spring game, but I've followed, the account closely. I followed all y'all's tweets, lots of tweets going out about the spring game. I feel like optimism is always warranted. Duke's coming off, consecutive, 3 consecutive winning seasons, 3, bowl games. The expectation after 9 wins last year should be to take that next step. I mean, can we make it to the ACC championship game? Can we win 10 games? I mean, I think the optimism is absolutely warranted.
Jamie's already given us a preview for what he's going to do for the predictions episode as we get closer to August. So we talked about this a little bit again before we recorded. Yes, we're excited with what we see, but we've got to curb some of that optimism just solely off of what we saw with other teams last year. Everyone expected NC State to be in the the ACC championship game, and they did not have a good year. Everyone expected Virginia Tech to contest. Now, yes, they came on strong at the end of the year, but they weren't in contention the middle part where they needed to be. Florida State, my goodness, no one, and I mean no one, expected them to be where they were at last year. They're probably not going to be the same this year. Otherwise, Mike Norvell might be packing his bags. So I curb my excitement just because let's get through fall ball as we get closer to the Elon game Thursday, August 28th. But yeah, it's exciting times to see because Darian Mensah came in highly touted from Tulane, that's going to be a fun game September 13th down in Tulane. But you just never know. Obviously, the school down the road, Chapel Hill College, big bills in town. From what I'm seeing, UNC fans are starting to get very concerned with all the transfers out, not coming in, out. And we're talking highly touted players.
By the way, as of this recording, 18 in the spring portal. 18 have entered the spring portal.
And we're not talking like bench warmers played a game or two. We're talking like their best linebacker, one of their best O-linemen, like key players from last year's team. So you just never know. And with the schedule Duke has, that 7-week stretch to where they're only at home once, that is going to be a test for this team because they go to Syracuse, they go out to California, they go down to Death Valley. So this is going to be a little bit tougher schedule in my opinion, and we'll talk more about that in the predictions episode. But yeah, it was exciting to see long bombs. It was good to see our running backs, doing patterns that we haven't seen from them in a while. Because we talked about it last year a little bit too. I think the first year was just getting the foundation set for this coaching staff and the playbook, because there were some games to where we're like, why are we running it up the middle? Why are we running it up the middle? Can we not do something other than run it up the middle? We all had PTSD of the Carl Franks days at times, but luckily in the end we got to win. So I know that was a long-winded answer, but again, it's just kind of I'm curbing my excitement right now until we get to the first game.
I would say this much: the fact that we don't know what the roster is going to be at this point. We don't know who they're going to add, which they're going to need to add some players, and there's going to be some subtractions. I mean, we still have 3 more days left in this portal. So, I mean, yes, great to see the guys that were out there Saturday playing. Good to see the new faces. Definitely glad to see Darian. Excited to see what he can do in this offense because I think he's going to do a great job. Interested to see just, again, how they play. Obviously, playing Elon first week, that's going to be a game I think that they could do well in, but it's a good chance for us also to see because by that point, the guys are going to be tired of playing against each other. They're going to want to play somebody else with a different uniform on. So that's going to be a good thing to see. And, by then, maybe we'll have a little bit better idea. Obviously, we need to stay healthy. I think that's a big thing that Duke needs this year. They need to stay healthy because that's something they had some issues in last year, and unfortunately, it sucked when it happened.
Hey, and I have some more optimism. We can stop worrying about Mensa going to Tennessee. He never was going to Tennessee, but I mean, Tennessee got their replacement for Nico. I think Darian is happy in Durham.
If 2019 Jamie shows up in the next 3 days, I'm going to kill you, Jamie. This appears to be a touchdown. I can feel it coming. Touchdown, the other team.
Yeah, it's all good. All good in the quarterback land, fellas. Everything's fine. And it has been. So anyway, no, I would say expectations. I would say internally, it is absolutely, and this is no nonsense here. Like, it's absolutely to go to the ACC championship game. That is the expectation. One of you mentioned, I think maybe Scott was the one who mentioned, like, we're not exactly even sure what some of this roster is going to look like. I mean, you're going to look Duke's more than likely, adding a tight end or, another wide receiver, maybe O-line, maybe. I'm not sure. Honestly, I'm not sure. But like, I know they're going to be looking for maybe even some more depth and in maybe on some defensive side and some things. So, as we saw last year in the second portal, I mean, Alex Howard, he was at Youngstown State. He spent the spring in College Station last year before coming to Duke. Ozzie, like all those guys were Star Thomas. All those guys were second portal guys. And so, this coaching staff has shown that they can operate, in the portal. And so that's going to be interesting. But I would say the internal expectation is ACC championship game. And I would say for the fan base, it's, barring worst case scenario, right? And there's going to be the SMUs, right? That no one expected them to be that good. I don't think Clemson is going to be able to fly under the radar if that was possible. They did that last year. Like, as big as Clemson's been over the last however many years, they kind of flew under the radar. They were really good and kind of flew under the radar all year. They're not going to fly under the radar this year. Klubnik is going to get a lot of the preseason hype and talk, and rightfully so. And so that's going to be interesting. But yeah, that's why you lace them up and you go out there and you play. And if Duke can see some similar fortune that it saw last year, I think there's no reason why this team can't, wind up in the ACC championship game.
I will say, before we move to the next question, the one thing I am excited about is that the UNC game is as close as it's ever been to a season finale again. It's the second to last week of the season, so glad that the ACC put the Victory Bell game back at the tail end of November.
And will Bill still be there?
Ooh, that might be. I might have to put that in the side bet section for our predictions.
Well, I'm going to say yes. Because no NFL teams won them. So
actually,
now, Scott, when you say if he's still with us, does that mean like alive, or does that mean the head coach of
I was referring to being the head coach, but unfortunately, the question is the COO going to let him coach at that point of the season, or is she going to put him on the shelf and say he's done because he's not won as many games as she thought he was going to win? But that's just it's hearsay.
If she walks on that sideline with a trench coat,
whistle,
some cowboy boots, a mini skirt, and a radio, dude, I will absolutely lose it, bro. That was the most incredible thing I've ever seen in my life.
Scott, that's an interesting point though, because let's walk through this really quick, and I know we got to get to another question. NFL season starts in September. So by that time, teams will be close to the midpoint of the season. Just saying, some coaches could be let go and there could be an agreement in place, but
hey, his buyout drops June the 1st or something, right? His buyout gets cut in half or something. It's like a $1 million buyout.
Yeah, it's like from $7 million to $1 million. That was to ensure that they keep him on through all of this.
Now, I will say, I think he's there to prove himself. If he does win, which I hope he doesn't, obviously, I hope they lose. I hope they lose every game. But if he does somehow win and get them to a bowl game, I could see him bouncing being back in the NFL the next year. But
yeah, his expectations and what the fans are expecting with Big Bill being there are,
Listen,
Yeah.
Labor Day night, go Horny Frogs.
absolutely. I would never root for Carolina. Next question. At Regina Lee _LA. Regina always coming through with questions for us. Is there a QB competition? And she wants to say thank you, King Henry. At the Gator Bowl, an Ole Miss fan said, if he's your QB3, then you're in good shape. She said, we cannot thank him enough, and I hope he and all the other deserving players will have a chance to earn playing time. I have faith they will. But not a QB.
Is there a QB battle? No.
No.
If I may be so bold, just like there was really not a QB battle last year. So
I mean, Duke didn't bring in Mensa to sit. So
correct.
If he's sitting, something bad has happened. And we don't want that.
What is it? $8 million, $4 million? I don't even remember.
80 million.
Oh yeah, okay. Forgot to add the zero when the initial reports came out. Got it.
79.999.
Yeah,
it's fine. It's just under that.
But no, in all seriousness, like Duke went out to land a QB1 in the portal, and that's what they did. And like, I'm not a coach, but like, I don't think this year there's even they're not even masking. Like last year, they kind of masked like who's going to be the starting quarterback and sent multiple people to the ACC media day and stuff like that. I just don't see that happening this year. I have no idea, but I mean, I have no idea, but I mean, I'm just thinking logically here. There's not one, but shout out to what she said to Henry and what he did in the bowl game, to Henry being a super, super reliable QB2. And then, as we mentioned earlier, the future looks bright in that room with a true freshman like Dan Mahan back there as well.
Now, with all that being said, I think we forgot to mention this when we talked about we were going to mention it. We were not able to be at practice because it was not allowed.
Yeah, I mentioned it in
this
the
year. This year. Oh, did you? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that was my bad. My bad. I didn't listen.
Same.
I'll listen at some point. All right. Next question. At it Yabo 1 DDMF. What's the RB room looking like? And I think we kind of went over this, but we didn't really talk about this. What's the chances of
pop quiz? Can Brian name the RB room?
No, we didn't talk about this though. What's the chance?
Unmute, Brian, unmute. You have to unmute.
What's the chances of a true freshman starter?
Yeah, it's
Nate Shepherd being that starter.
Yeah, it's RB1, RB2, and RB3.
RB4. Come on, Brian.
Jaquez Moore.
There you go.
Peyton Jones.
There you go.
Nate Shepherd. And I'm going to have to get X'd on the fourth one. Sorry.
Jordan Waters, right?
Anderson Castle.
Yes. Anderson, build me a sandcastle. There we go. I've got a new nickname. Here we go. New nicknames.
I still don't think Nate Shepherd starts, but he's going to play. He's absolutely going to play. I mean, we've seen that.
Again, take it for what you will with it being spring ball, because we've seen it in practice before where a player stands out and then it doesn't translate to an actual game. But Nate looked like he belonged on the field, and hopefully he doesn't get redshirted, but obviously we're not on the coaching staff and they might have bigger plans for him, but he looked like he belonged with Peyton Jaquez.
So I will say on last Tuesday night on the radio show, Coach Diaz, the way he described Nate Shepherd was guys seem to not be able to tackle him. And so that's kind of the way he described him. And so that's a good thing for a running back. And, but do I think he would start over Jaquez or Peyton? No. I think it's going to be unique this year. I don't know that Duke's going to use him this way, but Anderson Castle seems like a short yardage back. He seems like the kind of, 3rd and 2 guy that can like carry a defender for a couple of yards and he's going to fall forward. And so, it's been a little bit since Duke. I feel like since Duke's had that kind of bruiser, I think back to like the Jalay Duncan days of a guy that just could he was never going to get negative yardage. He was always going to fall forward. So but it is good to have depth in that room. I think back to that, what was it, the 2013 year, the big year. I mean, I think there were 4 guys that were getting snaps at running back.
All right, next up, at FishFry02, our guy JD. He just has some comments on his first here, and he says, feel free to speak on it. He says Peyton Jones is going to be a workhorse in the backfield. He said it could be something special in the future. He said it's wonderful to see your first string QB throw the ball downfield with ease and accuracy, but most importantly, he can run. We talked about that. Darian can move around. Not necessarily going to run for a whole lot of yards. I mean, if you look at some of his highlights and stuff, but he can move around definitely and move the pocket and do different stuff. But I think he could run for a lot of yards as well. And JD also says he was talking to a player after the game, and he said sometime in the summer there's going to be a fan appreciation day, and he asked if we had heard anything on that.
Cue the breaking news music, because nope, I had no idea about that myself.
Yeah, we'll if we hear anything, we can definitely share. But yeah, we've not heard anything specifically about that, but would be cool. I will say, as all of us being longtime Duke football guys, just remembering back in the day, and I know things are different now. I get it, but like having the Pascal Fieldhouse lined with tables, and Brian, they called it Meet the Blue Devils, and you got a poster, and you can basically make your rounds and get autographs and you put in photos of players. I understand with NIL the way it is now that the autograph thing might be a little bit touchy, but photos and stuff like that would be really cool, and whatever. But once again, it's a different world, man. It's different now, and I will say this: I do trust the program to be sensitive to some of those things and to try to figure it out. So
I understand some fans because I'd mentioned it I think it was my Twitter account. They were some fans were like, we would have loved to have gone on the field, talked to the coaches, talked to the players, gotten photos. The autograph thing, I completely agree with you on that, Josh. That's a tough situation with NIL. Some fans were just like, I don't care, just win football games. You're never going to please everyone, but the majority of these fans want to get to know the kids they're cheering for. And I look at it on the business sense of this. If you want to help these players make as much money as possible on the apparel side or the NIL store side, you got to get them in front of the fans, because otherwise it's going to be like, oh, there's number 20. He's a running back. His last name's Shepard. If you don't have a face to correlate with the name, then you're never going to get that fan interest in more than just, he's a running back, he's on the field, and I really like the number 20. That is one thing that I feel like we help bring with your Riley Leonards, your Dwayne Carters, your Graham Bartons. Yes, they had made a name for themselves on the field, but being able to pull back the curtain and show fans like, hey, this is what Dwayne likes. This is what Graham does in his off time. Like the get to know you pods that we did for the Durham Devils Club. That was something that fans really appreciated, because we weren't asking the atypical, like, hey, what are your thoughts heading into the game on Saturday? It was the one that I enjoyed the most. And if we do more of these, we need to keep asking it. But who would you have at your dinner for historical figures, sports or theology, or, and the answers were all over the place. But that's what fans want to listen to. That's what they want to get to know these players, because you never know, one of these players might have a like, and a fan goes, I like that too. You've just made a social connection to where if you can talk with those players, you might hit it off with them. You've gained a fan for life, no matter where the kid goes, whether it be the NFL or the UFL or whatever.
I would say let me say 2 things here. Number one, this is not football that we're talking about, but I'm going to make the comparison. Obviously, I do a lot of stuff with the Duke baseball team, and seeing fans get balls, seeing coaches, and I won't call names, but seeing them hand baseballs out to kids in the stands before the games. Those kids are so excited. There was a giveaway, at the baseball game last Thursday night, and the boy that won the jersey, he had no idea who the guy's name was on the back of the jersey, but he was so excited. And I told the guy that gave him the jersey, I said, "Man, you just made a Duke fan for life." And that is a great thing, and I think there's a great opportunity. And I'm not going to name names here, but we did something, or we talked about something Sunday where we found out who somebody was, how they were associated or kin to somebody. And I mean, that was a great thing. Had I known that before, I would have asked a million questions the day before. But it's pretty cool to see and find out these things. And I think that's a great thing. The comparing, there's a lot of small world situations. I mean, you find out things about guys. Harrison having to go through what he had to go through. That you find out things like that. Well, this guy, his little brother, or his mom, or his aunt, or somebody's going through the same type of thing. I think it's a great chance to connect. And honestly, young kids, teenage kids, whatever, and I mean, even adults for that matter, if you get the opportunity and you can just the tiniest connections sometimes, it's just such a great chance. I mean, we love Duke football. We've talked about this earlier. We love Duke. Well, we love Duke in general, but we really love Duke football. And there's a reason why. There was things that have gone through the years. Our parents took us out. We went, all this other stuff. But the fact we're still able to do it now, and you guys, for example, are taking your kids now to the games. And then you're all babysitting me and making sure I don't act like I'm a little kid the whole time we're there and getting myself in trouble. So see, there we go. It's kind of back to the same thing. But it's just, it's an opportunity. And I really believe, honestly, it's something good. And I think I don't know, maybe it's just me being the old man in the room, but I really think the opportunity there for this stuff is just, it's a great chance. And I'll leave it there because I don't want to.
I'll say
that.
one piece of feedback. Is that cool? It'll be really quick. I'll use my daughter as an example. My daughter loosely follows Duke football. She kind of follows it because I do. She's 16 now, but a year, it was like, I think it was last year, or maybe 2 years ago. They did let you on the field after spring, and we were able to get photos. Well, my daughter was like, whatever. Well, she got a photo with I'll use Chandler Rivers for an example. Well, she's a Chandler Rivers fan now. Like she's probably got like a mad crush on him. But like she's a Chandler Rivers fan, and but she points back to the fact that she got her photo with him. If he was just a dude in a helmet wearing zero Rivers, she's not going to be a fan of that. Like she doesn't know enough about football to be a fan of his, but like the fact that he took time to greet her, shake her hand, take a photo with her, like that's a memory. Like she's got that memory with Dwayne. She's got that memory with Riley. She's got that memory with other players. And, those are people that she follows now on social media and interacts and, those types of things. So anyway, I think there's definitely something there, and it's really has a lot to do with the next generation.
Yeah. And what Scott was saying about the baseball team giving away, the baseballs and all that stuff. I remember that's how I became a fan when I was a kid at Duke football. I mean, I know you guys remember. You could line up after the game and down there, and guys would be giving you stuff and high fives as they were running out and everything like that. I mean, that's how I became a fan. I mean, and obviously my fandom has seen a lot of losing, but still, that's how I became a fan. But Brian, you got something?
Yeah, and I've mentioned this before. The way I became a Duke football fan was I was at Duke Hospital because I got a cracked skull at school. And they came in with a poster, and the players and Coach Goldsmith signed the poster. And from that day, I was hooked. Like I can still remember players on the team. Right off, Ray Fisher, Robert Spencer. Yeah, exactly. It does. Spence Fisher, Corey Thomas, Robert Baldwin. Thank you. Yeah, I was getting my names mixed up, but Corey Thomas.
It was a cracked skull.
Yeah, exactly. Just it's kind of like Cousin Eddie, and if I go this way, then I piss my pants. And sorry, we're getting on a rabbit trail. But seriously, I remember that, and that's what I go back to. That's when I remember starting to be a real Duke football fan. Now, my boys, Harrison, on Saturday, he was there. He goes, "Where's number 8?" Well, he remembers Jordan from last year. Can you imagine if he was able to meet Jordan Moore last year? He would have geeked out. Now, he saw Jaden because Jaden was wearing number 8. We don't know if that's him taking over the number 8 and having more on the back, or if he just did it in honor of his brother. But if he could meet even Jaden Moore this year, Harrison will remember these things like Josh or Kelsey did with Chandler Rivers. So it's I understand there's some guardrails and everything with the current climate of college football, but you've got to find a way to get the fans in front of these players because you never know who could show up and they've never heard of Duke football before, and they could become a fan just like that based off their interactions. So,
All right, let's move along. That was a long.
That was the longest answer ever.
And that'll do it.
But thanks to JD. JD always interacts with us. We always love seeing JD out at the tailgates and the games. Next up is at Ross Jacob 684, and I had mentioned this earlier to Josh. And have we received any word when our wide receiver transfers? That would be Harvard wide receiver Cooper Barkate and the Oklahoma wide receiver Andrell Anthony. When will they be with the team? And I think Josh
just quick answer here. Those guys will both be arriving in May. That's when the off-season workout stuff begins. So those guys are coming in May. Maybe the latest would be June. But they'll have the full, they call it fall practice. It's really summer, right? Summer practice is in July. But they'll have that full fall, time. Obviously, the whole QB to wide receiver relationship is one built on timing and a lot of reps. And so I would assume as soon as they can get reps, and they maybe even have already been able to, right? I'm assuming they've come in on some weekends just to be around, and they may have been able to, get some throws in. But I would say that, there's a lot being the expectations on those two guys would be higher probably than what we would have expected. But I believe they are both going to be expected to come in and immediately make a significant impact in that room.
All right, this will be our last question, and that's from at Regina Lee _LA again. And she thought she'd kind of have a thoughtful question here. For those of us who acknowledge that Duke has other teams besides football and are heartbroken over close losses, which I want to assume she's talking about, but we don't know nothing about that sport. But in our text convo, there was some devastation. There was some devastation and maybe possibly thinking of ending that sport altogether. But anyways, she wants to know who are some of the lesser known football players who will heal our broken hearts.
Oh, that's good. I like that. That's a great question. I guess I'll go first. A couple of people that stand out to me. I think about guys that have faced some sort of adversity, and that have kind of fought through it. So, I think about a Nick Morris, who last year, season-ending injury, had started the season as the starting Mike linebacker. Now, obviously, things happen for a reason. We were introduced to a fella by the name of Ozzie Nicholas as a result of that injury, right? And so, but you never want anything like that to happen. So I think a feel-good story is kind of watching to see where Nick winds up this year. He was running with the ones on Saturday. And then another one that I think I could share this. He's a reserve offensive lineman, Reagan McCraney. Reagan had stepped away from the team for a time and was not enrolled, or I don't know if he was not enrolled, but he was just not stepped away from football for whatever reasons. Those are all his reasons, personal reasons, but decided to give it back a go and is back with the team and back playing. And so I think that's really whatever those situations are that those guys go through on the personal level, to see them, figure it out, whether it's injury or whether it's, just trying to figure out if football is what they want to do. It's really cool. So there's a couple of guys that I'm keeping my eye on.
This is not really a lesser known guy, but one that kind of pops out to me. Last year we had Eli Pancol, right? He came back from the injury, and that was just such a feel good story. And we all loved seeing Eli, just have a really a bounce back big year. But I think Samir Hagans could be like, I mean, obviously not coming off an injury, but I think he could be a guy that has kind of been maybe in the shadows a little bit. But now Jordan Moore's gone, Eli Panko's gone. It can be Samir's time to step up and have a big year, I think.
I'm kind of like Jamie there. I mean, it's a name we know. We didn't get to see much of it because of that crappy field at Northwestern, but I'm really looking forward to seeing Hazley next season. I really think Jeremiah is going to have. I thought he was going to have a great year last year, and he did really well the times that he had. So really looking forward. I mean, he looked like he was moving pretty good down there on the field. I know Josh mentioned earlier we were talking about injuries and stuff and guys coming back. He looked like he was doing pretty good. So I'm really looking forward to seeing him next season. Probably be the number one tight end on the team. And in this offense, I really think the tight ends are going to have a great chance. I mean, it's big boy. I think he's going to have a really good season. And if he can stay healthy, I mean, he could be in a year or two, maybe an all ACC type guy because he's got the size and he's got the big mitts to catch the football.
Gosh, you took them all. No, I would say Queso. We saw glimpses of him last year. And I think with what we saw at the spring game, he has only elevated his game more this offseason. So shout out to David Feely. Because and also going back to those players that have yet to come in, just if you're watching, be ready because you have not felt the Feely effect yet, but you're going to. And it's going to be tough, but you'll get through it.
Let me say this about Queso, Brian. While
Yeah.
you're on him. Back to the long answer that we had a couple of questions ago. He's the kind of guy, if you get a chance to meet him like after a game, there is not a kinder, like just most respectful, like kind of kid that you're like, man, like I wish every kid just treated people the way that he does. Like he's the kind of kid that's like easy to root for, right? Easy to root for. So sorry to interrupt you there, Brian.
No. I just think that he could be one of those was under the radar last year just because of who was ahead of him as far as Jordan and Eli. But this could be a year, especially with Darian and at quarterback or lining up under center. He could really shine because they were connecting a lot on some of the plays. And again, he's only gotten faster. But I want to give a shout out to a guy that everyone knows about, has been on a lot of people's, watch list. If we're being honest, probably could have gone anywhere this year, but decided to stay and see it through. And that's Chandler Rivers. And we talked about that. In a day and age to where if you have a good season, until what we call the Wild West is controlled, all the good players are poached and they go to a bigger football program. Chandler Rivers could have very easily gone to either Big Ten, SEC, probably pick of the litter. And he probably got a lot of offers. But at the end of the day, he stuck true to Duke and he's coming back. So while we're talking about some guys who may show up this year and bring even more confidence to the fan base, I think Chandler is that foundation. And he kind of showed that at the blue and white game to where when someone would make a defensive play, because he was on the white team, he was there just hyping everyone up. And that's exactly what this team needs is a foundational leader, because there's going to be some rough patches this season. I mean, there always is for every football team, regardless of how you look going into a season. There's always going to be rough patches. He's going to be the one that a lot of guys lean on. So, thank you to Chandler for not so much giving up, but going to a place that could have been greener pastures, as some players would see it. So that shows a lot of character for someone in Chandler like that.
Hey, if I can jump on an honorable mention real fast, and you just wrote it in the chat, Jaden Moore. Good to see him have an opportunity this coming season, knowing that he did come in with some great numbers, and would have been great to see him on the same field with his brother, but unfortunately it didn't work out that way. But able to keep up the Moore lineage, I think that, and if he does get to wear number 8, like he did for the thing, that would be awesome. And I think that would be fun. I think the family would love that too. And I'm sure Jordan would love that just as much as anybody. So that's another guy though that, just happened to come up in the chat we were having over here. And I think that would be another guy.
Website has him listed as 8, so maybe he did take over the more number of number 8. That'd be fine. Makes it easier on the equipment staff so they don't have to change anything. That would be funny. Here you go, Jaden. Here's your brother's stuff.
Didn't it say J.O. Moore? I think it did say J.O. Moore because
No,
it was Josh Woods. It was J.A. Moore.
No, it just said Moore.
Yeah, it just said Moore. Mm-hmm.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Jamie, did you have anybody? Did you answer that one?
Yeah, I had mentioned Higgins.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, so that's a wrap.
I got two honorable mentions. I won't comment.
No, two more honorable mentions.
I'm just their names. They came into my head as we were talking. Deshaun Stone and Kamari Robinson, 2 guys that were in the 2 part of the 2 deep that are going to probably be ones. So good stories there.
That's it, right? We done?
That's a wrap.
Well, that was another hefty mailbag. Even in the off season, you guys don't disappoint, so we do appreciate that. And as always, we will be having mailbag segments during the season, so be sure to be prepared to ask those questions. We try to answer as many of them as possible. But
Jamie's got to get his steak coming up, y'all. We have.
That's right. That's right. That's right. And this episode will probably release, and I'll just go ahead and say it.
Yeah.
Congrats to producer Tyler. He has got a little girl on the way, and they have confirmed that Thursday. We're recording on a Wednesday night. Wait, Tuesday. I can't keep up. It's been a week already. But they're going to be having their little one on Thursday, so Tyler will be on new dad duty heading into the off period, so he's going to need that as we get ready for the season in August. But I did confirm with him he should be good by the time August rolls around, but hopefully he can wake up when the alarm goes off, because my God, that is one thing that we saw in Jacksonville. We thought he was dead. We thought he was dead.
Dude, it went off for 45 minutes.
Okay, let's just go ahead and so we all shared an Airbnb in Jacksonville. It was the 4 of us, Jordan Mann of the Big J and Little J's podcast, our photographer Laura and her husband, and Tyler. And Realtor Matt Bliven, again, sponsor. Thank you for that. So we were, I think it was like the 2nd or 3rd day. And the way this house was is that the living room was in the center of the house, and there was a wing where all the rooms were, or the majority of the rooms. And we kept hearing this noise, and we're like, what is that? And it would stop. And then about 5 minutes later, it'd go again. It'd go for about 10 minutes, and then it'd stop. And we're like, what the hell is that noise? So finally, it was either me or Jamie. We go back there. It's Tyler's alarm. Legit, folks, it went off for 45 minutes. And it just turned into a game. We're just going to see how long this takes. After 45 minutes, the kid finally wakes up. We have never, any of us have ever seen someone sleep through an alarm like that. And his wife did confirm he does this all the time. So, Amanda, thoughts and prayers to you, because we know you're probably going to be waking up with the baby every night.
Yeah. Well, shout out to Jordan Mann, who's doing the edits for this one for us. He's a friend of the pod, part of the pod, and he's hooking it up in Tyler's absence. And so shout out. Also, just so full disclosure here, by the time this releases, the portal might be closed. We know it might not release until the end of the week. Like, there could be other names. You know, obviously we know the guys that are in the portal now, the Karan Boyds, the Spencer Jones, who else am I missing? I think there was at least one other one.
Sub-Zero.
Zach Franks.
Oh, yeah, Marquise Collins. I mentioned him earlier. So anyway, there could be more. And so we're recording this on Tuesday night. As of right now, that's all we know. But once again, once it releases, there could be others. And sorry, it is what it is.
Yeah, so we had to bring you a little bit of an episode, a little teaser as we get ready for the 2025 season. Of course, this is going to be the dead period after the portal closes. Scott, you got one more thing to say before we close down shop?
Yeah, I'm gonna make you have to say something too, but that's okay.
Oh boy,
since we're doing the shout out thing and we're trying to remember dates and stuff like that, this coming Saturday, the 26th, will be my 17th wedding anniversary. So shout out to my wife. God bless her, because Lord only knows what the heck she's doing with me and still around, and hadn't killed me yet. So that's even better. Each time I get to live to another year means that she's either getting softer in her old age, or she just doesn't care as much as she used to.
Sounds like she tried to kill you recently. Oh, I didn't mean to.
No, that was, if that was her, good God in heaven.
Yes, thank you for the reminder, Scott, because mine and my wife's wedding anniversary, 16 years, will be on Friday. As many of you know, I married a Tar Heel. We are a house divided. We love to have that playful banter with all sports related to Duke and Chapel Hill College. Thank you to the fans who have interacted with her and have given her a little bit of grace because she is the introvert between the two of us. And she's always nervous going into a Duke tailgate for a Duke Carolina game as to how she will be received. So thank you all for giving her a little bit of grace. But honey, happy anniversary. I love you. I don't even know if I should listen to this, but if not, oh well, it is what it is. Thanks for the support.
I'll let her know that you said it.
Okay, thank you.
Just want you to know Brian publicly gave you love, and so did Scott to Janet. Me and Jamie,
The Michael Jordan meme.
Yeah. My anniversary is not till June, so
Yeah, mine's not till July. I'm good. I'm good.
Yeah, we're good. We still got
So-
some time.
Jamie's working on his 45th wedding anniversary. Is that right?
Something like that.
Jamie, I love you, man. Thank you for just letting me mess with you like that because I know you're only like, 6 years older than me? 7 years? Something like that?
I'm 29. I'm not sure
yeah.
where y'all got that from. I'm very, very young.
I also like that it's been 3 minutes and Brian has not checked the chat. So it's
God, I hate y'all. What happens in the private chat stays in the private chat. God, can y'all imagine if one day it messes up and the private chat is like next to our video? God almighty.
If that ever happens, guys, it was really nice having this run as the Section 17 podcast. We'll be out. We'll be watching from our homes.
Deactivating social media.
Yeah, we wouldn't be able to get within. Anyway, we'll drop it at that. So yeah, again, we will be heading into the dead period with the football team. We're still working out some stuff possibly over the summer, heading into the season. We don't want it to just be completely dead until the season starts. We're working on some stuff. Don't know if everything will come to fruition, but we know many of you have wanted more content. We're just trying to figure out when would be the best time to release it. And then obviously, as we head into August 28th against Elon, we are off and running to the races until really the end of November into December. Hopefully, we will be discussing potential ACC championship game and bowl games and everything like that. But we're going to take it a step at a time. But it's been a fun one. It's been good to get back with everyone. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. If you haven't already, give us a 5-star review. It's been a while since we've asked that, but if you truly think that we're bringing a 5-star quality episode, please give us 5 stars. Leave us a comment. That's what we strive for. We want to make sure that this the content that we bring you is the best possible. We're for fans, but we also try to be entrenched in Duke football so that we can bring you as much information as possible. Guys, did I miss anything? Is there anything else?
Shout out Jonathan Brewer for coming on. Appreciate him.
Yes,
for sure.
Thank you, especially in this time as we're getting ready.
Insights, right? The insights that we couldn't because we weren't able to be at any of those practices. So that was cool.
Listen, we're on the outside in, and having someone inside of the program to actually give insight, I mean, beats us talking for an hour, but still, it's good to hear it from the inside of the program. So, Coach, really appreciate you coming on. But that'll do it for this episode. Again, thanks to each and every one of you who submitted their questions on the mailbag. Be on the lookout. We should be having something in the near future. It could be another episode. It could be another behind the scenes. You just never know what we might have released coming soon. But that'll do it for us. For Josh Cox, for Jamie Holt, for Scott Medlin, and for the newest father of the Section 17 podcast, producer Tyler Witt. And a special thank you to step-in producer Jordan Mann. I'm Brian Kennedy, and this has been another episode of the Duke Football Talk Section 17 podcast.